Hello everyone, I'm Alice. Today we are going to talk about social media policy. A social media policy, also called a social networking policy, is a corporate code of conduct that provides guidelines for employees who post content on the internet, either as a part of their job or as a private person. The goal of social media policy is to set expectations for appropriate behavior and ensure that an employee post will not expose the company to legal problems or public embarrassment. Such policy include directives for when an employee should identify himself as a representative of the company on a social networking website, as well as the rules for what type of information can be shared. Almost all social media policies include restrictions on disclosing confidential or proprietary business secrets or anything that could influence stock prices. To build a social media policy, there are three important things you should bear in mind. The first, everyone in the company has a stake in the social media strategy. The second, plan social media policy for the company employees. And finally, a great customer service program is a natural extension into social media. We will discuss in detail about each issue in the following sections. Before the internet, companies did not need to worry about outside forces, such as customers or even employees impacting their PR efforts, marketing, or advertising. Marketing efforts were very isolated, and a specific team of experts crafted brands and messages about products, services, and brands that consumers simply consumed. Marketing was a much insulated process during those times. Companies rely on either internal staff experts to reach their demographics, figure out what appealed to them, and craft a message around that information. With the advent of the internet and the creations of social media styles, the rules of marketing, public relations, and advertising all change. Not only did the consumer have a voice, but employees who were not in marketing unwittingly become unpaid spokespeople for the company they worked for. You need to define who owns the social media strategy from the onset to prevent miscommunication, avoid stepping on employees' toes, and to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Social media policy is a hot topic, and everyone wants to be a piece of it. You might find that many departments within the company or outside agencies will claim to be social media experts who should be planning and implementing the strategy. However, no one in the department or type of agency is expert in social media. A combination of skill sets will make your team's social media expert succeed or fail. If you stack the team with only public relations people, you will likely miss the search optimization component of social media. If you forget about your customer service team or tech group, you might experience major infrastructure issues when you finally implement your plans. With the price of computers continually falling and access to broadband becoming increasingly more affordable, broadband internet-connected computers and devices are the norm. According to Forrester, 3 out of 4 Americans are using some sort of a social media service. That means a lot of your employees are not just on the internet, they are also actively engaging in some types of social media community. whether via connections from work, home, the library, or local coffee shop, or even free public Wi-Fi. Just about anyone can access to the internet and own the ways to communicate with like-minded individuals who share the same passions. With each passing month, all the social media platforms continue to grow their user bases. Undoubtedly, some of your employees are on them and are being very social with these communities. Having a website and keeping it updated can seem a bit daunting to the average internet user, which is why social media sites have such appeal. They are easy, quick, and simple to understand and get comfortable with. They offer great ways to discuss, share, and engage something a typical static website cannot do. This is why user-generated content through social media sites has grown at such a phenomenal rate, and why the creation of static websites has slowed. You need to make everyone in the company aware of social media strategies at first, including the C-suite executive staff. Their action in social media communities, even if unrelated to the company, can impact anything that you are planning to implement in social media. So your C-suite needs to get involved. Most C-suite employees are well trained in understanding how their actions can impact the public perception of their company. However, something as minor as communicating in a forum on phishing, because it's just a hobby they love, can impact a company that sells memory chips for computers. The executives could be missing out on just how much an audience have embraced a new feature, product, or brand. However, companies whose C-suite executives embrace social media and get involved with it find it gives them much better perspective of what their customers are thinking. Companies that are venturing into social media need first to understand what extent that anyone who receives a company paycheck can affect the company's strategies. From the CEO to the ticket sellers and collectors, to all the employees are involved in your social media strategy, regardless of whether they have seen the social media strategy. So everyone in your company can adversely affect the social media strategy. Although they do not participate in creating the strategy or attend meetings discussing with the research, employees can have a significant effect on the outcome, even if you or they do not realize it. It is important to not only plan contingencies for the social media efforts, but also put in place policies for employees and their actions on social media platforms. Your employees must understand how their online actions can ultimately affect what the company is attempting to do. Even Facebook updates have an effect on how a company is perceived. Getting buy-in is not easy, but most people want to do the right thing. So instead of coming down with an iron fist and demanding that the employees take down their blogs, help them understand that their words have influence. Just because you hand your employees a paycheck does not mean you have ultimate authority over what they do in their off hours. The internet gives anyone a voice through these social media platforms. Because of the ease of voicing opinions on social media platforms, you need to both be prepared and plan contingencies, and also get the entire company to buy into the social media strategy. Beyond implementing policies, the online marketing or social media team should internally championing the efforts on different platforms. they should be taking to all the employees about social media, as well as perhaps how they can help with your strategy. Getting this type of buy-in from within your own words and understanding that all your employees affect your social media strategies makes the strategy stronger and gives it a much better chance for success. The social media champion can also discover employees who you never realized were so involved in social media and bring them into the corner. That makes them potential allies, which can be helpful when you first step in certain communities. Introduce training sections for all employees on how to use not only the social media tools and sites that you do not want to be prominent in, but also sites that you feel have a significant impact on the bottom line. Having the social media champion internally educating your employees makes controlling what is going on less is a factor. When employees are educated about how to use social media and the company's social media strategies for this size, they can be more a help than a hindrance. Secondly, plan social media policies for company's employees. As discussed in previous section, everyone in the company has stake in your social media strategies. Just one simply innocent post or update in social media community can send a great strategy straight in the tailspin. Taking the time to put social media policies in place before you implement the strategy can be saving grace to help you avoid any snaffers that employees might accidentally create. Social media policy should not be iron-fisted and strict or so limiting that the employees will want to circumvent them. You must understand how social communities work to create policies that are suitable for both the marketing efforts and your employees. This topic can be a sticky one. A lot of research points to employees being more productive if they have access at work to social media sites such as YouTube, Facebook, and MySpace. Yet, companies are fearful of employees' abuse, which can cause decreased productivity and bandwidth issues. Also, security issues abound from employees accidentally revealing proprietary information or misrepresenting the company. And as with everything else on the internet, misuse of social media tools can lead to virus and spyware infections that could compromise corporate equipment and networks. If your company is concerned about proprietary information being leaked or about network infiltrations by outside users, you can address these concerns and then reevaluate whether you can open up access to all the employees. Work with the tech team advanced in security during the last few years can help you avoid outside threats. You might need to adjust protocols, install new software, or change a policy that were enacted 4 years ago when the technologies were not as advanced. Educate the employees. Give them short seminars to understand and identify sensitive data that they need to be careful discussing in open public forums, such as social media communities. When employees are educated and informed, it creates a more open and less resentful climate when implementing your social media strategy. Educating the employees about social media and your policy regarding discussion in those communities is not only a wise thing to do, but it is also a money saver. If your employees understand that how the actions affect the company efforts, you can help prevent situations in which you might need to call in an expensive crisis management team. It is a smart approach to train the employees to make wise decisions about the private information they're sharing on these social media communities, not only for your company's sake, but for your own personal well-being. It is very important to educate them that friends on the internet are not exactly the same as the friends that they have in real life, and that simple conversations can be misconstrued and cost companies thousands, if not millions of dollars. The Human Resources Department is a great resource to have you build and implement a policy that affects employees. This is one of their specialties, and it is definitely smart to include them into policy creation process for employees' social media use. HR specialists also know and understand the laws regarding employees' rights when implementing these types of policies. When creating social media policies for the company that address the employee use, access, restriction, and implementation, the best course of actions is to include people from all areas of the company. Doing so helps you cover all aspects, from technical to administrative. The tech team might have issues with bandwidth. The operations team might need access to different sites than the marketing team, and the customer service team might have some great stories they want to share, but they are not sure how or even if they can. You can include all these topics and reduce the chance of overlooking something if you have a diverse team putting the policy together. Although human resources know and understand the laws governing policies for employees and social media, you also want the legal team or consultant review the policy you have put in place. The legal team will be well versed in what you can and cannot dictate to your employees. They will also be able to have ensured that any repercussions for misuse of social media are fair and properly applied. The last thing you want to do is go through the motions of putting these policies and repercussions in place, but then not be able to implement them because of the legal issue you did not know about. As you might imagine, ironing all this out early also saves you in the long run, because you will know that you are standing on the solid ground when handling employees who violate the social media policies. If the legal team helps you put these policies in place and you have clearly explained this policy to the employees, it is less likely that the employee will violate them. It is better to get the guidance of legal experts for all these policies, especially if your company has offices in different states and countries. Different states might have different documentation requirements, enforcement requirements, and so on. So it is best to let the legal advisor sort all this out. When the employees leave the building for the day, most of them want to forget the company when they close the door behind them. This is not really saying that anything bad about you or company. It is that reality. When employees are on their own time, they might think that anything they do in social media community is fair game. And often they are right. Using this example, let's say a professional photographer uploads images on Flickr and puts the copyright license on those photos. If the photographer then imports those photos over to Facebook, the copyright does not transfer to Facebook, which means the photographer is now granting Facebook the right to use the photographer images without any compensation or acknowledgement. Company needs to look at and address many issues related to their employees and the use of social media. This can be intimidating to most companies, but every company thinking of implementing a social media strategy needs to address this issue with its employees. Finally, to build your social media policy, a great service customer service program is a natural extension into social media. Companies around the globe are known for their great customer service, like Southwest Airlines and Whole Foods are two companies that I consistently hear have great customer service. These companies have implemented the fundamentals of their customer service practices as a part of their social media strategies. Many companies with great customer service departments have realized that social media is another medium for them to provide great customer service. Social media enables people to interact directly with a company and offer yet another avenue for the company to provide customer service. When deciding whether to participate in social media, companies with solid customer service know that restricting their direct interactions to phone conversations via traditional customer support methods is unnecessarily limiting. Instead, proactive companies join and encourage conversations on social media platforms. Other employees in your companies might be under the impression that the customer service employees only answer the phones. Although that may be the physical action that do to earn their paychecks, they provide so much more to the company. Without a customer service department, the company will not be seen as human. The customer service is the heart of the company. Finally, and probably most important, the customer service representatives are ad hoc sellers, listening and consoling customers who have just had a bad experience with the products. They listen, console, and help repair the relationship with those customers. The customer service representatives already know how a social community works, so they are probably one of the best resources to tap when implementing a social media strategy that involves direct engagement with an audience. They know and understand the customer on one-to-one basis better than any department in your company. It is worth repeating, the customer service can do so much more than just answer the phones. Having empathy is a great gift. The customer service representatives need to effectively work with the customers and the issue they encounter with the company, brand, product, and service. To relate to the customers on one-to-one level, as they do on daily basis, when manning your phone banks, they need to develop and hold an empathy skill. Although the marketing team and public relations expert might be uniquely skilled at creating marketing pieces and crafting the messages, you need to relate to the audience. Social media communities tend to rebuff this type of overtures from companies if they feel it is a marketing message. However, social media communities are much more likely to embrace the company's involvement. If members of the team show the true empathy, if you listen and respond, the social media experience will be far more rewarding. Listen to what customer service representatives do best. Someone who calls to speak with customer service usually wants someone at the company to listen to the story. And that's what customer service representatives do as well. They are adeptly trained to listen, not to just what customers are saying, but also what they are not saying. Although someone might be complaining about one thing, Another issue could be the heart of why they couldn't. The customer service representative is skilled enough to discover that and have to resolve the real issue. Many companies tend to downplay the role of customer service representatives play within the marketing efforts of a company. The customer service representatives are on the front line of daily basis. They are listening to the customers and getting a feel for how customers view your company, which is something marketing cannot achieve with a focus group. One of the social media strategy's best moves is to recruit a few customer service representatives to have you implement the social media engagement when it involves one-on-one contact with members of various communities. Their skills are invaluable when it comes to listening, and so it involves them from one research phase. Along with knowing how to listen, customer service representatives are keenly adept at knowing how to share with the customer on the other hand. They are acutely aware of how much they can share and when it is the right time to share it. Sharing is not always about a secret way of doing things. It can be as simple as sharing a link to a website that has been valuable. As simple as these things seem, they could be the golden goose that members of a social media community have been searching for. The next time an opportunity comes around in which they can help the company, they will be much more willing to share their time and resources. If you ever want to really know your customers think about your products are performing or how your sales staff is presenting your products compared to what customers understand, the customer service department should be the first resource for information. These professionals can give you insight into the things that a focus group for which you pay tens of thousands of dollars cannot give you. The customer service representatives receive unbiased feedback from the customers, which is something that focus group will not provide. Customer service representatives on the social media team are invaluable for listening, sharing, and gaining the insight into the dynamics of the communities. In today's social media communities, engagement is the key. Those one-to-one conversations and relationships that are formed require key skills that customer service department likely already very attuned to do. To ignore a rich, reliable, and already trained resources would be a serious misstep in your social media strategy. Just because the customer service department might not have marketing experience, does not mean members of the customer service team cannot become valuable resources, or even members of the social media team. Don't count them out. In summary, today we have talked about how to build a social media policy. To build a social media policy, there are three important things you should bear in mind. The first, everyone in the company has a stake in the social media strategy. The second, plan social media policies for company employees. And finally, a great customer service program is a natural extension into social media. Thank you for listening.